On this week's episode, we will talk all about the possible opening of the Peloton studios.
And lots of babies, engagements, and weddings, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 84 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm your host, John Pruitt, joined as always by my co-host, Amanda Siegel. Hey now, Amanda.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am well. Busy week. And good week. How's your week been?
It's good. Got a lot of workouts in, back at it on both the tread and the bike. But having a good long weekend for Memorial Day.
I know, it is nice to get a little bit of a break, and we'll talk about what's going on in the studios and breaks and stuff. So, you know what, there's a lot for us to get through today. So why don't we go ahead and just kick it off? Before we get started with the news, we do like to always remind you how you can keep up to date with all of our content across all of our platforms. Every episode is recorded and appears on our YouTube channel. Sorry about that. Just hit the subscribe button and at the bottom right-hand side of the video, and hit the notify button so that you never miss an episode.
Yep, and you can also listen to us. We're on all traditional podcast platforms. Just search Pelo Buddy TV, hit subscribe, click notifications so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We love to hear your feedback and the praise that we receive from you at home that watch and listen to us each week. And we appreciate the comments, and we love to hear how we're doing, because we love to do this. We don't get paid to do it. We don't have any ads here. We're proud to be ad free on Pelo Buddy.
We did get a nice one, John, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. It was from Maggie Jessica, and she said, I just discovered, or I should say they said, I just discovered your podcast, and it is so fun and informative. It gets me fired up to get on my bike. Hello from Metro Detroit, Michigan.
Oh,
so I guess she's a neighbor of yours,
yeah.
John.
Right
that's
down the road.
Awesome. That's awesome. Right down the road. So we always like to get your feedback, and whether it's good or bad, because if it's bad, we can fix what's not right or what you don't like, which is what we try to do. And it was funny because I was reading back through some old ones, and folks were commenting on how bad the sound was. And that was probably 6 months ago, even a year ago. And yeah, we have our beautiful mics now, and very professional, aren't we, John?
We've stepped it
folks,
up.
We are
the tech department.
We have stepped. We certainly have. Folks, we are, of course, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for Pelo Buddy and follow us on those platforms for all of the latest news. And I guess, John, now let's get on with the show.
All right, let's jump into it.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
So we have a lot of studio updates, so we're going to run through those first. So there have been several reports that Peloton possibly might be looking to have a soft opening of the New York and London studios that could take place sometime in the middle of June. This would see both studios open just on specific days of the week, possibly just on Fridays or just on the weekends, Friday through Sunday. I know someone had given me a heads up on Robin's hit run from about a week ago that she made mention to that, stating also that there would be a mix of both studio classes with members in them soon, but also classes that wouldn't have any members in them, which I thought was
interesting. Yes.
So it looks like it's appeasing both camps, because a lot of people seem very against seeing members in the studio. And those seem to be a lot of newer members that came on, when the pandemic hit and who are only used to instructors teaching to an empty studio.
Right. So we've definitely seen, it definitely does seem that, we've been getting some additional information that's been coming out because we had, the instructors have been a little bit more vocal than they used to be, John, in the past. As we had mentioned last week, I guess Jess Sims had shared on her post teasing August that they were reopening and reiterated again on her timeline that, that it was going to be this August opening. You've just mentioned the soft opening. And as you had just said, Robin Arzon had said something in her class. So I think there's definitely going to be a mix of both. I think we are going to possibly see classes with, members in them as well as without. There's no question that it is a wildly debated topic throughout the pandemic, because those folks that only joined the platform during the pandemic definitely feel that they prefer the classes without the members in them. Well, of course, those of us that have had the privilege of being able to be in a class can't wait to get back, in the studio. And then, of course, there's that debate that we talk about often, John, in why are there only two studios? Yes, it's fantastic to be able to have the ability to be in a studio and to be able to be live. But, we have to remember, again, the premise of what Peloton was all about was that you are able to do your workouts from home. Exactly.
Connected fitness.
So if you're Exactly. But if you're on a trip to New York, or if you're, traveling to London, as I did for years. I worked in London. So I was fortunate enough to be, in the States and in London. And that was how I got to ride in the London studio, was on a work trip. It was fantastic. I might as well utilize, Yeah, absolutely. I certainly wasn't making special trips to go out and do that. But I have to say, for someone that has had that privilege of being able to be in the studio, I can't wait to get back in the studio. There's such a vibe. There's such an amazing feeling. People have said, though, that it's kind of disturbing to see someone if they're perhaps in like a very loud outfit or gaudy outfit in the front of the studio versus, and their movements and mannerisms. But you know what? You get beyond that. You're watching the instructor. So I think what you said is actually is actually probably a good point, in that somehow they'll do a mix of both, where they'll have, coach to camera, still doing live classes, but just directly, and potentially classes where there will be, folks in them. So it'll be fun to see what happens.
Yeah, and it'll be easier from a management standpoint at the studio, with the traffic not having a constant flow of people in and out of there. When they're shutting the studio down to members to ride or to work out there. But also to the point of folks who are against members riding in the studio, I would say this: if you have the opportunity once the studio's open to go and work out in a class, do it. I think your viewpoint would very much
perception will change.
Because there's a whole element of energy being there in person. It's almost euphoric in a way when you're in there and the cameras, that live studio experience, and then you've got everybody around you. There's just there's a whole element that's missing right now without members in the studio. But it looks like they're really. And again,
I think before you carry on, John, I wanted to say another thing that I think we also have to recognize. Both of these studios were, designed and created to allow members to come into them. New York was supposed to open the day, the day everything shut down, and London was in production. The same thing. The new London studio was totally in production for an opening for members. So, I think that's something that's important for the newer folks to recognize as well, is that the goal was to have members in there. It's certainly some form of, revenue generation, because some of the classes, well, certainly in the New York studio, you had to pay to do. London was free. I believe that would change. And then there's the ability to purchase merchandise. There'll be all this cool stuff that they'll have in the studios as well. They just look spectacular. So it's a fun way of, bringing your level of participation within the Peloton platform to a different level, which I think is nice.
Well, and to add to that, Amanda, Chris Lewis just passed on an article from connectthewatts.com, and it's titled "Peloton Invites First Guests Since Pandemic into the Studio, June 10th." And this is an invite only for journalists for these special guests. But it goes on to say, we've long been looking forward to the Peloton return to the studio day. And it looks like we have a date, June 10th, and some select journalist guests have been invited to participate in studio classes, one which includes Rob and Arzon. There's several classes: tread, strength, yoga, cycling, and a live DJ ride with Cody. So there's a whole bunch that these special invitees will be able to choose from to ride live in the studio. So that sounds like we'll get our first glimpse of people in the studio in those classes. So for folks who have never seen that before, they'll get their first taste of that at Peloton Studios, New York.
Yeah, it does actually say here, well, Peloton Studios will be opening its doors to the public later this summer. So it does say that. It says, as you said, we'd love to give you a sneak peek. And then it says a behind the scenes tour at the high-tech broadcast and production studio. One class booked on a first-come, first-served basis. Class schedule and instructions for booking are below for your reference. And a post-class instructor meet and greet with light bites provided. Oh, John, where do we get our journalism, cards?
So it does say journalist and other special guests received an email today. So I'm curious what other special guests that means. So I
very
will be jealous.
Let's see what else it says here.
I'll definitely be jealous if some random member, posts their email that they've been invited to the studio. Maybe they'll invite some members
local
in the
people,
tri-state area, in New York.
Yeah.
But it's obviously it's coming.
Very excited.
They've been getting ready. They've taken off. Finally, they just recently took off all the window covers, or the gray covers on all the windows at the front of the studio. So now you can actually see in and see that lobby that's been covered up for the past 2 years. Also, just last weekend, they swapped out the treads in the tread studio, which were all tread pluses that the members would use there. They replaced them all with the lower cost tread, but the instructor tread is still the plus. But it does kind of make sense, not having members from a liability legal standpoint, not having members come in and use equipment that's currently recalled. But it also gives good indication that they're getting ready to invite members into the studio to use them finally.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as you said, they had removed the coverings, on the windows. As you said, they had removed the coverings from the windows. They had already done this in London a few weeks ago. So for the past few weeks, you've been able to see into the London studio, which has been exciting. And folks have been posting on their social media, as well as the instructors, of pictures outside the studio. And I remember when I was there a couple months ago, it was all still boarded up. But from what it sounds like, John, is they're actually going to be swapping out the picture of Ali Love that appears at the top there for a video screen. So Ali had made a post on her Instagram page that it was the end of an era, stating that it had been a big moment in her life when the team chose to put her face on the outside of the New York City studio. She said that while she knew it was supposed to be temporary, she never imagined that it would be up for 3 years, and says that she was beyond grateful to have been the face of one of the best companies in the world. So it was actually Ali who had shared that they would be putting up the video screen. which she put on her social media. We are also hearing that the instructors are changing their locker spaces. So that was an interesting something we had heard, as well as we wanted to share that there are three. Yeah, so that was basically from that perspective as far as the studio goes. With all of that being said, the next thought was that we did want to share with folks that are watching or tuning in that there are actually three different closures that have happened. One just happened this past Friday, which was a last-minute closure. Members were just notified on Thursday in the official Peloton Facebook page, and the announcement said, due to maintenance of Peloton Studios, New York live classes scheduled on Friday, May 27th, have been canceled. We apologize for any kind of inconvenience this may cause to your workouts. We also know, having peeked at the schedule ahead, that as of right now, both Monday, June 6th and Tuesday, June 7th are all encore classes, except for 2 roll call strength classes at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, which I think are probably just an error, maybe, and they're going to be switched to on demand.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what your thoughts.
Kind of random.
Yeah, what your thoughts are there.
I couldn't make sense.
It was random. That just
Mistake.
both Monday and Tuesday, it was still on there. We have no word yet why that this is happening on the 6th and 7th. I guess we can only assume that it's related to the studio opening, and especially now that we've just gotten this hot off the press information about excuse the pun, because the press are being invited into the studio, but that they're coming in on the 10th. That maybe they're using those 2 days to prepare everything and get everything sorted up. Pelo Buddy also speculates that maybe there could be just a shuffling of the instructor schedules, in which cases the classes will be added back onto the schedule just with, the new time frames. Because I know that they do, the summer usually they'll change the schedule for the instructors so that it's not always the same instructors at the same times. So
Right.
That could be another speculation that could be happening.
Well, we do know our friend Benny Adami, he will be in New York at that time over June 6th and 7th. Now, he hasn't said what he's doing there. He's there for something with Peloton, but
Yes.
I couldn't get anything out of him. He only, I said, "Are you recording a class?" No, I don't have my visa for that. So I couldn't really, I didn't want to squeeze him too hard to get him to cough up the details, but he didn't get himself in trouble telling me anything. But he did say he was going to see you.
So he's actually there. Yes. So he's actually in New York this weekend. And then he's going to have some time off. And he'll be off for a week. And then, yes, he's going to be back in New York. And hopefully by the time we record in 2 weeks' time, we'll know what it's all about. We won't know anything next week, but we'll know the week after. And then I guess Memorial Day for the New York studio, there are all the classes are on call. London are still operating normal on Monday, but the classes for New York instructors are all on call.
Which is nice, since we have some live classes to choose from with New York being closed.
Right, if we want to do a live class.
Yeah.
Correct.
And one thing,
correct.
just to circle back to the mention of the treads being swapped out in the tread studio. So there hasn't been any more details about the Tread Plus going back on sale. Still recalled since May. There's been no updates on the timeline. The deadline is not too far away now, November, I guess, to return your Tread Plus for a full refund under that recall offering. So I would guess that if it were to go back on the market, it wouldn't happen until after that November deadline where members have the option to return it.
John, between you and me, I don't see it happening. I can't see
you
how
think
they're
you're
going to
coming
bring
back at
that
all?
Tread Plus. I just don't.
Yeah,
I
I've
just
seen a
don't. I mean,
couple-
we've certainly
I saw a couple
posts,
comments.
right?
and-
People have said that.
Yeah, I saw a couple of comments saying, I think it's they're not going to bring it back, but no. I'm just glad I got mine.
Which is disappointing. I mean, it is disappointing. I know. But I do worry. And there is a lot of chatter with folks that have the Tread Plus that a lot of folks are considering returning them, by November, just because they're worried about, support on them.
Yeah.
There's still issues, with the Tread Pluses. Tons of folks are having that screen issue. I mean, I've just been having it. They've walked me through something and I've had a bit of a fix, so we've been okay. But I really wonder if they're going to bring it back. And again, just us speculating, but I will be very pleasantly surprised if they do. I do not believe that they will. So that's just my 2 cents, if it's worth anything.
I would, if I wasn't under warranty at all, if I have 2.5, we got the extended warranty, so we have at least 2.5 years left of warranty. If I didn't have any warranty, I'd probably consider returning it by November with all the, everything in the air with it. But, and
I think I said it
I
last
haven't
week,
had any issues with mine with the screen freezing for a little while now. So far, so good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. So hopefully whatever they gave you a decent motherboard and it's all
No, just a new monitor.
So we'll see.
So so far so good.
Oh, it was just a new monitor. Okay.
But I turn it off every time.
it.
I switch it off from the on-off switch at the bottom after every time. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but so
Interesting.
far, no issues. So
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, moving on, there is lots of exciting instructor news, which at this point, I'm sure everybody knows, but of course we have to make it Pelo Buddy official. First up and most recent, Becs Gentry announced her pregnancy in her live 30-minute pop run on Thursday morning. That was on May 26th. She was quite emotional when she shared that herself. And her partner, Austin, would be expecting their first child in November. She did note, which was quite funny, because I know you and I definitely speculated, as well as our other Pelo Buddy crew, that she did say that Peloton members are detectives, and clarify that although a recent social media picture led some to believe that she was engaged, that was not her big news, because I know we had seen her in an airplane, and I guess her hand came up, and everybody thought that she had a ring on her left finger, an engagement ring. But I did love how she referred to the baby as the real original baby beast. For those of you that follow or work out with Becs, her fan group is known in the community as Becs Beasts. So that was kind of a cute reference that she made. And then at the beginning of the week, Chelsea Jackson Roberts, she shared that she too is expecting. Chelsea shared the wonderful news in her 30-minute gospel slow flow yoga class this past Sunday, so Sunday the 22nd of May. And she had also said that you know what? That what I was going to share was that it was actually her 2-year anniversary with Peloton this past week. So the timing was really beautiful, that she was celebrating her Peloversary and was able to announce, that her and Shane were expecting. She did spend quite a bit of time in the class reflecting over some of her journey and how much the Peloton community has meant to her. She shared that this has not been an easy journey for her and her husband, and she thanked the community for having held her in ways that we will never know as she moved through her own storm. So my understanding, is that she's had her own story, and I think she waited until she's quite far along. So she's, I think, 19 or 20 weeks already pregnant. Of course, the chatter is, what's everybody drinking in the New York studio? The water must be laced because of all the of all the pregnancies. And I did laugh at Cody. He did have to make a joke out of that, right?
Yeah, when he posted,
and he posted on his social media.
Well,
which I thought was hysterical, as only Cody could, right?
Well, it was funny in Becs. I watched the clip from her live run where she made the announcement, and she said that in her boyfriend Austin's Insta story, where you thought she had a ring on her left hand, she said the camera image was flipped. So she did say she got lots of comments. Congratulating her, which she said, she appreciated, but that wasn't the case. It wasn't on her left hand. It was actually her right rings, which I had messaged her with a little eye icon with a ring, like I see something. I didn't want to just come out and say,
Right.
because I was wrong, which I was. But on Thursday morning before the start of Alex Toussaint's 20-minute 80s ride, he congratulated Becs, and he said, I think, I always say this ain't daycare, but I think that's invalid now. Because of all these pregnancies, I think this really is daycare.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny.
Yeah. And I wonder, we speculated last week if her being in London was, had anything to do with her announcement. She had said that there was an announcement. We thought maybe she was moving back. Maybe she just wanted to be home to share it with her parents in person. She didn't make mention of seeing her parents. And then I know that her and Austin had gone off to Paris and spent a few days there before heading home. So look, their lives are out there, unfortunately. I don't think they mind in some way, but we do. They're like our family. That just not blood. And Chelsea referenced that in her little spiel when she spoke about her pregnancy. She said, "You guys are my family. You're just not my blood family, but I want to share this with you." And there have been so many people that have been there for me. So, I think it's probably overwhelming for them because they're suddenly not there, and people speculate all sorts of things, which is, sad. But for those that are able to share their news, we want to hear it. So it's nice that we do get to hear it. You have more news.
We are very invested in their lives. We interact with them all the time on social media now, at least for the last 2 years, on, posts and Insta Lives and stories, and then in classes. And so we kind of all go through, it feels like we go through those ups and downs together. So, it feels very...
And John, I want to actually say something as well. And I do want to say something. And I think that the instructors, certainly from the show, and I've noticed this, and I even said something to Chris, in that I think they really respect what we do for them because, they've been engaging way more with Pelo Buddy. And you know what? We've never tried to disrespect them in sharing information when we shouldn't have. We've kept what we've needed to. If we've known information, obviously stuff that we can share, we have been able to. And I think they really appreciate that. That made me really feel good. I mean, I certainly saw Becs had reshared Chris's post of her pregnancy. And I said something to her. I just reached out and I said, "I'm sure glad that you announced your pregnancy before we went to record so we could talk about it." And she responded back and she goes, "My timing was perfect." And I said, "I appreciate you reposting this." I like that. I think that, again, we've certainly from my perspective, we haven't met all of the coaches, certainly the new instructors. But I love the fact that they're, I think they like us, which is nice. So we're lucky. And that's all thanks to Chris. I think it's thanks to Chris for putting that information out there. They recognize we're not trying to, do anything but promote them and push them to a different level. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah, agreed. Well, in other instructor life news, Matt Wilpers got engaged just last Friday, the 20th. Announced his engagement to his girlfriend that he's been with for 3 years. Her name's Jessica Wee. She's a dentist. I know that, but in terms of any other details about her, I don't know anything else. We just kind of, she just kind of came into the public light just recently down at Selena. We got our first glimpse of her through Daniel McKenna's story where she was just in the background next to Matt, in one of his pictures that he posted, which is funny because when Matt posted it or reposted it, he cropped her out and then Daniel included her in his. So you saw it through Daniel.
I love that. And you're right. I mean, we spoke about it back then. It was the first time we kind of knew. And, good for him. Good for him for keeping his private life private. But he did share his engagement openly, and that was beautiful. It seemed like it was a beautiful post that he had with the reel that he put together of their life, or pictures that he had of their life together, and they're adorable together. So I'm so happy for him and so excited for him.
And the engagement, it took place on the beach Was it out of the country? Or was it
Nicaragua, I think.
Nicaragua,
yeah,
nice,
Nicaragua.
nice setting.
Yep.
And I also had a little fun with the picture. I reposted it. And Matt reacted in messaging, cracking up. But I put a box of Nun hydration tablets like over the ring box, and I memed it with, when you give her a year's supply of Nun hydration, and her reaction, to the box of Nun tablets.
It was funny.
I kill myself. I crack myself.
And then I guess this past weekend, which we'll talk about hopefully next week more.
Yeah,
but
with more details. Yeah.
Christine Durham got married. So huge congrats to Christine. She had some stuff on social as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Her longtime boyfriend, Brian Hicks. It was funny on a recent live earlier in the week. They were talking wedding stuff, and it was funny because Brian popped in. They always come on live sometimes late at night. Like they eat late at night. They were cooking dinner at 9:00 at night. They're kind of night owls like that. But they were talking about the wedding's right around the corner, and someone was asking them about the reception. They just said, I don't think we're going to put out the detail, like where we're getting married, where the reception is, just, for privacy. But I put a comment, I said, which instructors are going and who didn't make the cut? And she was like, John Pruitt, you're rude.
Did they acknowledge it?
Then I was asking her about her playlist for the DJ or, the band. But yeah, we'll hopefully have a lot of details. They just posted some really cute engagement photos on Thursday morning on Instagram. Some really cute pictures of them just sitting on the porch of their house, and then you can kind of see their silhouette like in with the sun setting in the background. So they're not doing a honeymoon. I guess they're delaying that because Christine's got a lot of stuff going on with some upcoming bike races. So I guess that's maybe coming later in the year at some point. But yeah.
Right.
And
so lots of instructor stuff, lots of instructor exciting news, and we're here for all of it. All right, so switching gears, just as a reminder to folks in the US and Canada, the subscription fee increases on June 1st. For those folks, as I said, living here in the US and in Canada, it goes from $39, which it currently is, to $44. We had spoken about it back in April when Peloton had first announced that that's what they were going to be doing. But an email just went out this past week reminding people that the subscription was going to automatically increase that $5. I'm sure that the rest of, the UK and Germany and possibly even Australia will follow suit. But I guess they're starting out here in the States first. So, that was that bit.
And we also have a new yoga program that is being led by instructor Kirra Michelle. So on the morning of the 23rd, Peloton launched their newest training program, which is the second program as part of, it's called The Approach, which is a multi-part yoga training series. The first in the program is called Power Restorative Yoga with Ross Rayburn. But this newest one is called Path to Inversion. And it's a 2-week program led by Kirra. It's described as helping guide members to working their way towards inversions, whether that ends up being a handstand, a headstand, a forearm stand, or just making some progress. And in a recent Q&A, she let members know that if you've ever done an inversion before, you should expect to be able to do one by the end of the 2 weeks. So instead, this would give you the foundation and the techniques to work on so you can repeat classes. She said to take classes 1 through 12 and then come back to any class along the way that was a struggle for you. And she said she did preface by saying, now keep in mind, this isn't an easy skill to attain. 2 weeks will be a stretch unless you've already been working on headstands for a while. So it's more like a foundation, a place to go back to when your body's ready to go upside down. She had described it a little more in her Peloton homecoming panel. And we have a full list of the program on pelobuddy.com so you can see more. But a couple instructors come to mind who are really good at this. I don't know if you've ever seen Andy Spear, but he can basically walk on his hands, upside down. And Rebecca's really good. But Andy's got like a really, he did a lot of, fitness, like track and field and gymnastics in college. But yeah, he was just doing one before his 20-minute HIIT cardio. He did like a headstand and then he flipped and then did like a model pose when he put himself right side up. So it's impressive.
It's too funny.
Yeah, I can't.
I got to tell you, as much as I'm loving my yoga, it's never happening.
Yeah, that's next. That's
I'm
next
so
level.
not
taking it to a
flexible.
whole
But she's amazing,
plane.
though. Right. I mean, Kirra's body is like a pretzel. I mean, what she can do with her body is just unbelievable. I mean,
I've never worked
quite
out with
supple. Yeah, I've seen some stuff, even on her social media, I've seen stuff, and I'm like in awe, in complete awe, as I struggle to do my downward dog and and my cobra, in slow flow, because that's all I can manage.
I see
Kristen's fantastic too.
I see a lot of her in my feed, and yeah, she's got some really impressive inversion moves as well. So
Techniques, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, moving on, some great artist series dropped this past week. Last weekend, we, of course, had the Harry Styles artist series, which was kept quite secret until the morning of. Myla Lazar kicked it off with a 30-minute ride in German last Friday morning. We then had the 2-for-1 run with Becs Gentry and Jermaine Johnson. And, of course, the epic 2-for-1 ride with Ali Love and Emma Lovewell. Callie Gullickson had a 20-minute core strength, and Mariana Fernandez gave us both a 20-minute yoga flow in Spanish as well as in English. And then this past Wednesday, the Norah Jones artist series dropped with some absolutely wonderful classes. This year actually marks the 20th anniversary of Norah's Come Away With Me album, which is so beautiful. And you know something? I have to say that I love Norah Jones, and it really took me back to, a young adult and newly married, for sure. And her music was amazing, and I hadn't heard it in so long. And they did such a fantastic job. So we had Nico Sarani did a 30-minute yoga flow in German. Aditi Shah also dropped a slow flow. There was a 20-minute ride in German with Myla Wiederkind, a 20-minute walk with Justin Thompson-Rule, a 20-minute Pilates class with Kristen McGee, and a 20-minute ride with Ali Love. And I did want to point out that the ride with Myla had English subtitles on demand. So I took full advantage of this artist series, and it was probably one of the ones that I've pretty much done everything. The only thing I haven't done is Kristen McGee's Pilates class and Nico's, because I didn't do her flow either. I'll talk about more of it in the picks of the week, but I have to tell you, loved this artist series. And maybe because, as I said, it was music that just brought back amazing memories, of coming to America and being, newly married. And there was just tons of memories that those particular tracks brought to me. I loved the series. Thought they did a fantastic, her voice is like gold. So we'll talk more about it in Picks of the Week, but I have to say, for me, it was a really fantastic one.
Well, and we had the Harry Styles. I did the Harry Styles ride live. It was fun. Did you do that one?
I did the run.
Live?
I did the Harry Styles. I did the live run. It was early that Friday morning, and I was actually in New York, and I did it on the road. It was fantastic. And then I did do the ride. The ride was fine. It wasn't my favorite ride that I've ever done. It was fine. What did you think?
So I don't know if it's because there's two, there's two instructors in there because they feel compelled to, but I thought, and I've had this complaint, I have this gripe a little bit with the artist series rides. but I feel like there's too much talking.
Yeah.
Too much like banter. But, it's like I really want to just listen to the music sometimes. And I don't know if it's the instructor feeling the need to just fill up space to give you background or bio information on the song, or that, John Mayer played on 2 tracks of the Harry Styles album, which is, a nice little tidbit to know. But I mean, sometimes I just want, I wish they would just talk less. And
So it's
and I felt
very
like they were
interesting that you
very-
say that, John.
felt like they were very chatty on this one, which I mean, it's kind of hard not to be when there's 2 of them, and they obviously don't get to teach a class together like that very often. But that's been one of my complaints. I feel like on recent artist series, they focus on
So I'll tell you-
shout outs, and they just
Yeah.
just want to talk the whole time about that particular artist rather than just letting the music play a little more and being a little more quiet.
So in the run, interestingly enough, they spoke about not talking over they actually said, I want you guys to listen. These lyrics are new. We want you guys to listen to the lyrics. I mean, Becs and Jermaine were amazing together. And I loved, to be honest with you, the chemistry that they had was fantastic. They were really cute together. But Becs did say that I can't remember the track that she played specifically, that she said, I kind of want you guys to hear this. The lyrics are amazing, and didn't talk as much. But I did notice that with the Ali and Emma ride. I will say though, with the Norah Jones, they really let you listen. I mean, in Justin's walk, she literally said, I want you to listen to the music. I wanted to, to bring back memories. I want there to be that. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I think when there are 2 of them, there has to be that bantering, and it makes it harder to be quiet.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of artist series, DJ John Michael recently in his Instagram stories, he addressed a lot of members and folks asking him, and also the instructors, all the time, when instructors go on Insta Live or they post something about a class, people are just like quickly like, oh, let's get them. Can you do a Michael Jackson ride? Can you do, Led Zeppelin ride or Van Halen class? And so he really kind of wanted to say, like, there's so much about what goes into it. He said, every artist owns their own name, their likeness, and you're not just allowed to decide you're going to label a class Van Halen, 30-minute ride or whatever, using their names and likeness. He said, that being said, sometimes your favorites, the artist just doesn't want to be involved. It could be as simple as that. He said, sometimes they're not into it. Sometimes it's about timing. A lot of artists, obviously, they want to do something like this, like Harry Styles, for instance, with his new album that just dropped the same day as his artist series classes. Sometimes they want to wait for, a book or a tour. And music rights have obviously been an issue for Peloton. Back in 2019, the National Music Publishers Association, the NMPA, they filed a lawsuit against Peloton, claiming Peloton didn't obtain proper music licensing for the content that they streamed in their classes, and then Peloton quietly removed 65% of their library when that lawsuit became public, and then they settled it 1 year later. But also I've seen a couple, I know Andy Spear, he mentioned that typically it's the artist that contacts Peloton and says, hey, we want to do so-and-so ride. And then the instructors they kind of bid for that class if it's one they really want to do. And then they kind of have to, fight for it. But he said that's typically how it works. And one thing that I learned, I can't remember who mentioned it to me, but instructors aren't allowed to play more than 2 songs by the same artist in a class, in a playlist. And I don't know if that has to do with licensing or, falling into, making it a class about that specific artist. But I just thought that was an interesting tidbit that I found out recently. But also, as a reminder, you can find a complete list of all the Peloton featured artist series using our guide on pelobuddy.com that Chris Lewis has worked very hard to compile for you to easily find and track down some of your favorite artists that have come and gone on the platform.
Yeah, and I said it last week. I love how Chris does that, because sometimes it's hard to know unless you go back to a post. And even then, you know, Peloton, in preparing for the show, I was looking for the Norah Jones, like who was actually doing the Norah Jones stuff. And I had to go to Chris, you know, I went to Chris's page on the website to be able to see them all listed. It's so much easier. Peloton doesn't even sometimes do that. Sometimes they'll post it. But when I went back to find it, it was on their story, but it wasn't on their feed on Instagram. So I was like, oh, what am I wasting my time for? I'm just going to go straight to pelobuddy.com and just pull it off there. So you're right. That's awesome.
Yeah. And moving on, my favorite, Jenn Sherman, one of her ride series that she does, her signature ride, Sold Out Show, is back. It's a live concert experience. So she plays a collection of live tracks from different artists, you know, different concerts that they played. So last week's, not this past Sunday, there was no class over Memorial Day weekend, even though she posted on Instagram a week ago that there was going to be a class on May 29th for some reason, but she was off that Sunday, this past Sunday. But it's a live concert experience. So she played the first ride she did last week. She played a live Dave Matthews Band track. She played, I think it was live Bruce, live Grateful Dead. So it's a great collection of different live music. And she talks about some of her concert experiences. So you hear some fun stories. But it's supposed to be 6 rides, according to her, that go through the end of June. So there's at least 5 rides left in the series, and another annual signature series.
Before you move on, though, John, I want to give her a shout out. I thought it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. With Leanne not being live on the schedule this past month, I've been doing Jen's rides on Sunday mornings, and I got to tell you, I loved the Sold Out Show ride that she gave. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I thought the music was amazing. You know, she was fun. She just seemed very relaxed in it. I did love the fact that I had to post something and tag you in order for her to post it. So she did post my post. I mean, I was very honored, but it was because of John Pruitt and not because of Amanda Siegel. Did you notice that?
I re-tagged her when I reshared your Instagram story.
Well, thank you for doing that. She does not open my messages. So for all of you folks out there thinking that the instructors see all my messages and I'm friends with all of them, I'm not. I'm not John Pruitt. But she never opens my stuff. But I did have a little chuckle that she had reposted what you had put there. I kind of showed a friend, and I was like, geez, I have to be like, I have to tag John Pruitt in order to get acknowledged. So there, shout out to you. I did want to just say that I thought that series is fabulous. Loved it.
It's always a great feeling when you can finally get out of that instructor message request folder on Instagram to where they read it and respond to your message. Because once you're out of there, it makes it a lot easier for them to see your message and hopefully respond. Exactly. Because I'll say with Andy Spear, it took me a while to get into, he's not super active on social. So it took a while for him to see my message, to interact, in DMs. But now, I've got an open line of communication with Andy.
Love it.
And speaking of signatures,
move on.
Another signature ride series that Hannah Corbin just announced is her Country Happy Hour ride series that comes back. It starts up next Friday morning, June 3rd at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. And it's just, it's fun country songs, that you would hear in a bar on a jukebox. More upbeat country. I'd say more mainstream country. She likes to play, the Nashville hits. Dennis is more into the old country, Texas country, I would say. But I've done a couple of them, from, I guess, last year, and they were super fun. And I am not a country fan by any stretch, but she makes it fun, and I also like her. I'll give her credit. She does throw a lot of little interesting tidbits sometimes about different artists, about the recording that you never knew about, when they went to record that particular song that she's playing in the studio, some like random story about, they found a backup singer to sing this one track, last minute off the street. Kind of interesting, little stories that she strings together there.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So for those of you wondering if there's something wrong with your Apple Watch or your Bike Plus, there isn't. There recent update to the Peloton, there is, right. A recent update, you're quite right. A recent update to the Peloton Watch app has actually removed support for some of the older generation Apple Watches. So if you have an old Apple Watch Series 1 or 2, you are no longer able to sync your watch with your workout. So that truly was a bummer for those folks that have not upgraded their watches. And I actually got lucky because I did have a Series 1 Apple Watch and it broke. And my son had one that he never wore, and I kind of usurped it, and I've been using his, and I'm so happy because at least I didn't feel the pain of not being able to sync it. And then also this past week we saw that Peloton had submitted new documents with the FCC for an updated version of the video screen and tablet that is currently used for the Peloton Bike Plus and Tread, and presumably the forthcoming Roa. We believe that this is purely an internal update and shouldn't affect any of the capabilities or that it will bring any new features to members. But we did want to just mention that was something that had just recently happened.
Yeah, maybe it's just, like an updated serial number extension that they do sometimes, the last 4 characters of the tablet model number.
Exactly.
And we have a new Peloton Pride collection drop in the Peloton Apparel store. It is all of 2 unisex hoodies and a pair of socks, which seems like a lot of members are pretty disappointed. They were expecting a little bit more.
Yeah.
With the Pride release. I don't blame them. But that is there. And while we're on the subject of apparel, there is a pretty good apparel summer sale of up to 70% off going on right now, happening through May 30th. So only have another day, about another day left of that by the time this episode comes out.
Airs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was tons of stuff. Tons of stuff on there. I have to say, I did make a purchase. I hadn't bought some stuff in a while. So there was some stuff that I'd been holding out on, and I did end up getting it. So, and I had my very last referral code. I was holding on to it like gold.
I still have plenty.
I'm really bummed that they...
There's nothing that I...
Oh, you only have 6?
I'm just waiting.
We only were given 6. Okay.
Yeah, I still have 5 or 6. No, I have 5 or 6 left to use. That I've
okay.
But I haven't really.
But you've used up all your.
Yeah, I'm now using Jackie's code. So I've got 5 open referral slots left on Jackie's referral code now. But I've kind of slowed down.
I actually have to look whether I can. Do that with Mark.
Kind of been
I used to do that.
Slump.
I got to make it.
I haven't had a referral in a while.
Yeah, well, so. How many more people could you possibly refer? Seriously.
But I got 6 months left to get through them. So.
To use.
Yeah,
all right. Well, maybe if I become a good enough friend, you'll pass one over to me. I'm sure your wife will be thrilled.
I'll sell you one cheap. Pennies on the dollar.
Right. You'll send me one for $100. Send me one for $100. That's too funny. And then birthdays. Benny Adami celebrated his birthday this past Friday. And I was cracking up because I love my birthday. I am like, a birthday doesn't matter. I said to my husband, I think I'm going to be 80 because you know what? I should say that because my mother's 80 and she still loves her birthday. So I think that I am going to follow in her footsteps, but I love my birthday. And I thought that I couldn't celebrate my birthday any more than our friend Benny Adami. But I think Benny loves his birthday. And he was making sure that everybody knew that it was his birthday on Friday. And he was, in fact, in the studio and had 2 fantastic rides with huge celebrations. So happy birthday to Benny for Friday. And then for today, Jess King. It's Jess King's birthday.
Is it inappropriate to ask?
We do, 32.
Oh, wow.
32. He put it right out there. He invited everybody to his 32nd birthday party. You got to go take a look at social. He had an invitation right out there. Come to my with little cute little animals, like a baby's invitation. He cracks me up. So he is just so fun, so fun. I mean, the energy that guy has. And then Jess King today. So she celebrates her birthday, and a huge happy birthday to Jess King.
Nice.
Then I guess, John, just a couple instructor in the news, bits of information. You started off.
So Kendall was recently interviewed on Forbes.com. That one, it talks a lot about one of our other recent interviews that we had mentioned, I think an episode or 2 ago. It's titled Peloton's Kendall Tool is on a mission to shift society's perspective on mental wellness. And it goes through a lot of her struggles that she's talked about pretty openly, with mental health and being an advocate for mental health and depression. We have it linked, on Peloton, on Pelo Buddy, conveniently for you to read. So check that one out. If you haven't seen some of her previous interviews, she's pretty open about her struggles with that. So, kudos to her for really, putting herself out there like that all the time, like she does.
Exactly. And as much as Kendall's in the news these days, so is Tunde. And Tunde got to be interviewed by Nike Trained. So on Nike.com, she had a podcast that she did with Nike Trained, Tap Into Gratitude with Tunde Oyenoyan. Tunde believes nothing is impossible. She obviously is a rep for Nike. It says the Nike athlete, cycling instructor, former makeup artist, and author tells us why. I have not had an opportunity to listen to that podcast yet, but if it's anything like her book, which was just amazing, and I said that I listened to it, the audio version, that's definitely one this weekend that I'm going to take the time to listen to, because she's just an amazing orator. She speaks so beautifully. So yeah, that was exciting.
Nice. Well, and then this isn't instructor in the news related, but it's Peloton in the news. Recently, there was an article in the Fox 2 affiliate in Missouri. Thieves pose as repairmen to steal a Peloton bike. I've never heard of this. This kind of
my goodness
going on, but investigators with the Kirkwood Police Department in Missouri are asking for the public's help in locating 2 people who posed as technicians in order to steal a homeowner's Peloton bike. According to the statement from police, it happened around noon on Friday, November 20th. A nanny was at the home when 2 people came to the door, a knock at the door, and there was a man and a woman. They claimed that they were there to repair the Peloton, and unknowingly she let them in, and without her knowing, they walked off with the bike, and they were in a Enterprise, moving truck, but they weren't wearing any sort of uniform displaying a company name. So, they don't know if the home was targeted or if, the suspects knew they had a Peloton or what the circumstances were. But I've never heard of that kind of theft of a Peloton bike before. So that's kind of wild.
That is wild. That is wild. I actually didn't see that story. So that's crazy. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess next up is Picks of the Week. And we're going to do it a little bit differently this week. I know that for some folks, they get frustrated with picks of the weeks because there are a lot of them. And we want to give everybody that shares their picks of the week an opportunity to be listed on here. So what we decided to do this week was we're going to try and go through them a little bit quicker. We are not going to go through our own first. We're going to throw ours in as we go through them. And, again, it's a nice, if it's too much for you guys, this is kind of where the show can end for you. But there may be some little Easter eggs after picks of the week. So you better be careful. I mean, I wouldn't tell you to stop listening. But you know what? A lot of members have come to Chris and really thanked him for us incorporating this into the show. So for a lot of folks, they like the fact that we are doing this, and especially that we're now getting members picks as well. Because I think I certainly am the first to admit that I am very boring and monotonous in my picks. I did try and change it up this week. There are some new people on there, but this is a different way to do it. So I will go ahead.
Figured you might be branching out a little bit with Leanne, having been off the live schedule.
Wasn't I?
For a little while.
Exactly. I certainly did. And John was off the schedule for a little bit. So, although I did throw him in this week, but because he was off filming scenic content with Susie Chan that we can't wait to hear about. So still trying to figure out. He will not give me any information as to where they were filming. He tried to see if I knew. And I did throw Glasgow out because I thought that he had mentioned it. And he was like, no, he said no. So we're not sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and kick it off. So I kind of went back into my library a little bit, and the first pick of the week is actually one that I am picking, and it is Bradley Rose. It is a 5-minute cool down from the 17th of April. And there are 2 songs on there, but the song that caught me was David Gray's Sail Away. And as much as I love Norah Jones, and it gave me the most amazing vibes and listening and memories, this did too. I've never heard David Gray in a ride or a run or anything. This was the very first time that he popped up. And I am a huge David Gray fan. And when I posted this, John, which I thought was really interesting, members are so sweet. Somebody said, oh my God, he's on tour at the moment. So I'm pledging DJ John Michael, if you're watching the show, a David Gray artist series. His music is phenomenal and he's on tour right now. So what a great way to, promote him. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to find a place. He's going to be in Virginia when I'm not here. So I'm so bummed. Otherwise, I would have absolutely gone to see that concert. But Bradley's 5-minute cool down. Fantastic ride. So that's my first pick of the week.
Does David Gray sing the song Babylon?
Yes. Okay, Babylon.
That's the one.
His music is...
He's very low impact. I feel
very.
Like
It would be like a Norah Jones. It would be like a Norah Jones artist series where the music is just, beautiful and quiet. And
Jenn Sherman,
he's
just... a low impact artist that Jenn Sherman uses a lot on low impact. That's one of her go-tos, like Gavin DeGraw.
Oh, she's used him?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
Only on cool downs. I know I've heard Babylon. I've heard her play that. I'm pretty sure it was on a cool down.
Please forgive me. I mean, his songs are amazing. He just has it's White Ladder. He has an amazing playlist. So anyway, let's move on. We got lots to go through.
All right. So CA Girl in WA and Samantha Bunny both submitted Kirsten Ferguson's 20-minute mental health awareness ride from Thursday the 19th. They said her words were incredibly powerful.
I do want to correct you. It was run. You said ride. And I know I make that mistake all the time. But yeah.
Run, yes.
It's okay. We're so used to saying ride. Awesome. And then we've got Jermaine Johnson and Becs Gentry's Harry Styles 2-for-1. That was from the 20th of May. Amanda Werner, 13, and Caitlin James both had recommended this one. Energy, vibes, everything. And I agree. Fantastic run.
And then on the topic of the Harry Styles 2-for-1, a lot of members submitted Emma and Allie's Harry Styles 2-for-1 ride from Friday the 20th. Amanda Werner, 13, Leia, Seychelles, Carol with a K.
Seychelles.
Seychelles. I Amanda butchered that one. Molly Doyle, 23, Raz Arik, 712. I know her, Raz. They said, love the surprise. Great energy with Allie and Emma. Too much talking. That's my comment.
You just throw that in.
I kid.
All right, next up. I know. Well, it's good. It's good that members enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. It certainly was a fun ride.
Yeah.
All right, next up. Anna La Pelotona. 30-minute walk and run with Marcel Dinkins. It was from the 21st, 8:30 a.m. Amazing class, lots of good information. That was a great class for anyone interested in skills. She taught the whole 30 minutes. So that's a great way if you're looking to do something, not just running, you've got this walk and run. So that's awesome.
And it doesn't say in the notes here who submitted it, but Chelsea Jackson Roberts, 30-minute gospel yoga slow flow from May 22nd, which was her pregnancy announcement that she made in the class.
Nice. And then So 1112, 901 Doc Mommy, and Abby Deedeen agreed with me and said that Jenn Sherman's 45-minute sold-out show ride from the 22nd was an epic playlist, as always. Love Jenn's passion for live music. And you really did see that. I mean, she gets so into it. I love her knowledge for music. I wish I knew as much as she does. It's amazing.
And then ARC 1072 and Live Your Why had submitted Christine D'Ericole's 30-minute Dear Evan Hansen ride from May 22nd. They said amazing and emotional at the same time. That's based on the Broadway musical Dear Evan Hansen, which you've seen, I believe, right, Amanda?
Yeah, I haven't done that ride, and I really need to jump on that. There was just too much to do from the weekend, so that's definitely one that I want to go ahead and do. So she loves Broadway, so it's always loved. I love seeing Christine in a Broadway ride.
Loves the theater.
Loves the theater. Next up. Rach loves to teach. She submitted Jess Sims' 20-minute strength roll call full body from the 23rd, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, and they said amazing full body workouts.
And then we have Tunde Holmes submitted Susie Chan's 30-minute API Heritage Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Run from the 23rd. They said, great playlist, awesome sharing about her background and heritage, but also an opportunity to chase some speed if you want. And Susie strikes such a great balance of keeping you company and great coaching without talking too much over the music. I didn't say that. That's from Tunde Holmes.
Job. Yeah, she does an amazing job, though. When she does her stuff, I have noticed that about her. All right, go for the next one since it was yours.
Yes. So Selena Samuela's 45-minute Rock That Upper Body Tread Boot Camp from May 23rd. Amazing boot camp, super hard. I don't even think Selena realized how hard it was until she was kind of right in the middle of a set of sprints. But such an awesome mix of different eras of rock music. She had some Eric Clapton. She had a Miley Cyrus cover of Blondie's Heart of Glass. She had Fleetwood Mac's The Chain. She had Nine Inch Nails' Closer. She finished with Aerosmith's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing from the hit movie Armageddon. And then I think the most epic song of it all, because it's a 7 or 8 minute song in the middle of the class, was Leonard Skinner's Freebird, which... it's just a wild sort of roller coaster of a song, when it gets to the end and starts to build up. And Jenn Sherman plays that song probably once a year, and it's usually always like a massive climb that she does that song to, which is just, it's a great track, but it's long. But just a super hard, challenging class that it took me by surprise, but I felt good after it was done.
All right. And this was mine. So Aditi is visiting her family in India at the moment. So I had to improvise. I had to pivot. And I was pleasantly surprised, not surprised, I was pleasantly enjoyed. Ross Rabin's 30-minute morning yoga flow from the 24th. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful. And his voice and his message, I literally felt that I was in the room with him. Honestly, I felt that he was just talking to me. He was very patient and slow in how he curated the flow, and huge shout out for that one. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
And we have Dennis's 20-minute climb ride from the 24th. That was submitted by Victoria 2008. They said Dennis's climb ride had the right amount of recovery. It wasn't too much, but it also allowed you to push harder on your next round, 1 minute after each 4 to 3 minute climb ride, where you also increase the resistance every minute on the climbs. A good ride to try for a PR.
Nice. And then I was not alone. So Aditi did drop before she went away as part of the Norah Jones Artist Series, a flow. And it was from the 25th. I was in good company with Halv Orson, Lisa O'Leary 524, and Live Your Way. The playlist mixing classics and less well-known was fantastic. And I have to say, there were so many songs on there that I didn't recognize. So I had done, as I said, most of the series with the other instructors. And what I loved about Aditi was that she did pick some less well-known songs of Norah Jones that I hadn't even heard. So that was a great way of bringing her music to the platform in a different way. Beautiful flow. And I was so glad that Aditi got to be a part of this artist series, even though she was out of town. So it dropped on demand on the 25th. And then still moving on with that Norah Jones artist series, I told you guys that I loved it. Justin Thompson Rule. Oh my goodness. She did a 20-minute walk on the 25th. So these all dropped, the Norah Jones all dropped on the 25th. And I have to tell you, I said, when we were speaking about it a little while ago, she didn't talk over the music. So she, guided us. And with a walk, you really don't have to. She gave us a little bit of incline. It was a fantastic walk. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I was just drenched at the end of it. But the music was so uplifting. And I loved the way she curated that playlist. Absolutely brilliant. And then I did Ali Love. So when Ali had posted that she was doing Norah Jones, I actually messaged her and said, oh my goodness, Ali, I'm jumping on this one. And she said, good, I'm glad you like it. And I did it. And I got to tell you, I loved it. I loved it. She did an amazing job as well. She picked all of the classics, and I haven't ridden with Ali in some time, and I got to tell you, huge kudos to her in the way that she curated that playlist. And I had mentioned I didn't put it in as a pick of the week, but Mila Wiedekind's too. I mean, I was so pleasantly surprised that they had English subtitles on there. So it was fantastic to be able to ride along and get to understand what this instructor was saying. So it really baffles me why they can't put subtitles on all the on-demand classes. Clearly they can do it. So I've certainly put my feelers out to see who we can talk to about making sure that happens.
Yeah, it's got to be. It just probably just isn't as easy as it is for adding them after the fact with the English class. Yeah, yes. There's probably some man hours that go into
manpower.
Yes, manpower.
Right.
Yes. All right. So we got one of mine next. I don't really shout her out much or throw in one of my picks of the week, but Hannah Corbin's 45-minute classic rock ride from Thursday morning, the 26th. I got up nice and early for this one. It was a 6 a.m. ride. She normally teaches Thursday mornings, but a really good mix. She kicked it off with a Jimi Hendrix song. She played some Styx, some Foghat, The Who's Won't Get Fooled Again. some Boston. She did play a couple songs, which to me are absolutely not classic rock, but they're still great songs. She played Guns N' Roses' Paradise City. In my opinion, that is not classic rock because classic rock really ends in the 70s, in my opinion. And she shouted out Jenn Sherman, which was fun. So I'll let it slide because she, at one point during Paradise City, she goes, I can just see Jenn Sherman here right now thriving to this song. So let's think about Jenn Sherman right now as we pedal it out. And then she played Toto's Africa. Not classic rock, great 80s song.
Yeah.
Not classic rock,
Yeah.
but it was a great, it's funny, a lot of instructors, they have different interpretations of what is classic rock or some different genres, I'll say. But it's interesting because you get a good mix of different stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a music buff. I'm not enough of a music buff to be able to know the difference. So I just kind of, ride with whatever. I mean, you definitely know music way better than I do.
Yeah, I can definitely.
All right, next up is
opinions
on that. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
Becs's 30-minute pop run from the 26th, 7:30. It was her pregnancy announcement run. And we had a couple members that had recommended this one. B Crew 21, Rosie Southbound, and Midwife Lexi. Becs' welcome home run from 5:21 paired with her 30-minute pop run from 5:26. So many fun stories leading up to the big Pelo baby announcement. Looks like a busy fall for the Peloton midwives. So that was kind of cute.
And then Alex Toussaint from Thursday, the 26th, he taught a class. Normally he doesn't teach 80s rides. But this one was fun. And it, normally he's one of the hardest instructors, so you're going to work. But this one was definitely more of a fun playlist. It wasn't like a balls out, work your ass off the entire time. So if you are trepidatious about riding with Alex, if you've never...
Intimidated, here I am.
You've been intimidated. This is a great, and it's on demand, but this is a great class to just enjoy some great 80s tunes. He kicked it off with Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight, which I mean is a fantastic 80s song.
Classic.
He played some Kool and the Gang, some Bobby Brown, just a fun class. And it's 20 minutes. It went by really quick.
All right. I guess that's an Alex ride I'm going to be doing because I love the 80s. And if it's not as hard as as I said, I'm the first one that's intimidated by his rides. So maybe that's a great one to do this weekend. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then last up, finishing it out, rounding it up, our friend Hannah Frankson. And you know that it's always going to be a party when Hannah Frankson is on the bike. She did a 30-minute Turn It Up ride on the 26th. It was at 1:30 p.m. And Kirra does cardio, Steph Hamilton and Summertime 81 all recommended it, said she was hilarious, great music, and fabulous ride. So that's fantastic. And I guess that wraps up the picks of the week for this week. Wow, John, well, a lot of information we ended up going through. But yeah, that was awesome. So I think that was a good way of us doing it because it kind of brought us, it didn't take us too long on our own ones, mixing it up a little bit. I like that. I think that was a good way of us doing it. Hopefully you do too. And if you do, please share it with us. Tell us if you like the way we did it this week, because we want to make sure that you guys are getting the most out of what we give to you on the show. So with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hope all the Americans are having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I think it may even be a bank holiday in the UK this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So if it is, then hopefully you guys are having a wonderful long weekend. Be safe out there. And from me here, ciao for now, everybody.
And from me here in Michigan, appreciate you tuning in, listening to us, watching us from wherever you are. And as always, we will see you on the leaderboard.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.